You inspire me a little bit.
Wow.
In all honesty, I don't know, because
I'm an inspiration.
Caden hits the ball a little farther than I do consistently. He's also taller than me.
To a short guy.
So in
I'm
my
an inspiration to a short guy.
In my head, I say some of what he has on me is because of his size. But then I watch you go and I watch you. Okay, so for our second episode here in Orlando, in Florida, we've got our friend Justin James on the podcast. Justin, thanks for coming out.
Yeah,
thanks for
glad to be
taking
here.
some time out of your night.
Yeah, no problem. Glad to do it and chat a little bit.
Yes, this is going to be fun. Florida native.
Yeah, Jacksonville, right up the road, 2 hours north.
So we'll get the inside scoop on the state as well. But first things first, so today was demo day at the PGA show. You guys were out there, you and your team. How was that this morning?
Good. If you've never been, it's just a gigantic 360-degree. Well, I mean, it's a giant circle, so 360-degree. Most companies are out there. You can kind of test some new stuff, gizmos, knickknacks. So it's a lot of fun. We were out there with Jumbo Max, looking at some grips, testing grips and stuff, and looking at shafts, new heads. So kind of get a beat on the year, see what's new, and we were looking at a robot picker for the farm.
Nice. I love that.
That'd be a great addition.
So, tired of picking balls, so we'll see. I don't know. So, yeah.
Those things buzz around all day. They're pretty efficient. They're pretty crazy.
Yeah, we got to look at a few. I think they might cost more than a F-150, but I don't know. We'll see.
Well, what's more valuable,
I'm not sure. I mean, in my mind, it
Just
might
strap
be the
a picker to the back of the F-150.
Yeah, take that around.
Take that.
We're going to look at that, too.
Oh,
We've got
okay.
lots of...
All options are on the
yeah.
table.
Just got to graduate beyond the acorn picker.
Nice.
So that's what we've been using now, which is efficient, but, it gets old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we were here last year. Last year was our first year, and we were working with a handful of the other long drive athletes, and they pretty much couldn't hit their drivers all the way because of the distance from one end to the other. Was that kind of the case for you today? Or were
Just depending on where you are, the wind
Yeah.
whips and the weather's always garbage. It was good today. But usually it's like, it's cold
It was
lot.
freezing last year.
Yeah, so it was pretty good today. I think going full tilt, like the Jumbo Max 10 is it's usually like pretty downwind. So Martin and I were hitting last year. I think Martin was like getting close to the other end. I always sandbag, but he was going pretty. I mean, he was just like taking hacks. I'm like, I thought this was supposed to be a friendly sort of situation.
Yeah.
He's trying to set world records. So, when it's blowing like that, you can get close. But it's a giant range.
It is huge.
So.
And that the reason I ask is because you guys are literally the only people on the planet that are even capable of hitting that other end. And
to give reference, it is 360. It's a big circle driving range. Yeah. From side to side, if I remember right from last year, it's I can't remember if it's a little under or a little over, but it's in the 400-yard range. I thought, if I remember correctly, from last year, from side to side. And our first intro into long drive that we'd ever seen, not on social media, that we'd seen in person, was Kyle hitting at the Cobra tent. Mm-hmm. We were doing some stuff with him last year over there, and he was warming up with irons and stuff, and we were like, oh my goodness, this guy just like absolutely rockets the ball, right? And someone on his team gave him his driver, and he's like, no, put that in the bag. And the guy was like, no, they want to see you hit driver. And he's like, I'll hit that Mizuno tent across the way. If I hit driver, I'm not going to hit that. Yeah. And we were like, nah, I don't believe that. And then he started hitting like one iron or something, and it was getting close.
Crazy.
And we were like,
what you guys do.
You guys are unbelievable. I honestly didn't think a human could hit it that far when we first saw it.
No, it's crazy. But so you were there with Martin today, right?
I was hanging out with Martin and Josh a little bit, but Martin and I did a clinic last year where we were hitting. So today I was just kind of taking it easy.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah.
Right on.
Did not hit one. Well, I hit a couple wedges, I'll lie, but no drivers today. So for me, a demo day, that's a success. But the weather was good. So usually, again, the weather sucks. I don't want to hit. Today it was good. So I could have hit a few, but
Nice.
Saving it for the new season.
So
it's the idea, yeah.
Personal question. Do you rock jumbo grips on your wedges?
Yeah, man.
You're jumbo whole way through?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. What's kind of
What is it about the jumbo grip?
Yeah.
Well, they helped my hands originally. That's why. I kept getting a bigger grip size because my hands just get destroyed in Florida in the summer.
Yeah.
it's nasty. So I interlock too. So like my knuckles, I mean, no, I guess there's a camera, but anyway,
Yeah.
my pinky like got 3 times the size to where I couldn't even like interlock. It was
Wow.
like, so it's obviously a bit of a problem. So the like normal jumbo grip I went to, and then with when Bryson the first time he hit, it just anyway I ended up trying the original kind of jumbo max, and it was easier on my hands. I really liked it. I grew up, I was a baseball guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, does it give you the same feel of kind of?
Yeah, I don't know who like designed the golf grip, right? But I mean, and I'm no authority on what the size of the grip should be, but it feels pretty good. I mean, I'm no tour player, but I mean, I play fine with them. So some more guys are starting to use them who are good players, and yeah, they just feel good. So it's not, I mean, like grip size, somebody smart has done studies, but generally you like, you adapt within a few shots when you're a good player. Like you can use pretty much any grip within a few shots, but the long term sustainability, and then mine's weighted, right? There's some purposes for that. Drop the swing weight, etc. There's a lot you can do with the grip. You'd be surprised, but yeah, it's just kind of a feel thing. I like it.
Interesting.
That's awesome. I mean, you mentioned baseball, right? If I'm not mistaken, so your athletic journey, we'll call it, were you a golfer first,
Yeah.
or a baseball player first? How did that kind of start and happen? For
I
you?
grew up golfing because my dad's PJ Pro. He did this for a living, long drive.
Right.
So I was just raised in a golf factory. I rebelled. I played baseball, came back to golf. I continued to play baseball because the shelf life on baseball, I just figured we'd ride it out. So I
Yeah.
somehow played professionally. So a scout made a very terrible mistake. I played for 2 short seasons. And I mean, my plan was to come back to golf anyway.
Okay.
So I almost didn't go play because my ceiling baseball, like I didn't throw 100 miles an hour. It's like
'Cause you were a pitcher, right?
Yeah, I was like 90, 93. I mean, I thought I was all right. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
I wasn't.
only
I
90,
wasn't.
93.
Well, that sucks now. I mean, like there's a 12-year-old somewhere who's, anyway.
I think I'm like a solid 45, 50 maybe on a good day.
Yeah, no, same.
Yeah, well, I mean, anyway. My point is, that's like 160 ball speed now. It's just not that great. So, my plan was, like, I was in spring training. I was working at a golf course. My dad's buddy. Like, I'd pick the range and play. Like, I seriously played more than, I did not even really care about baseball. Now, that being said, I got kind of good. And then when I started to care again, I sucked. Different story in the performance aspect, but, that's a valuable lesson. But the plan was to come back. So when I came back, I started after baseball. I got released. Cool. See you later. Thanks for the cheese. And was going to start to play. And then like Golf Channel at the time acquired LTA, which then became, WLD. So the long drive thing became a viable sort of career path in a way. And then, like I really enjoyed the fitness side. Obviously, that's a big part of what I do. I enjoyed the golf side. It really lets me combine those things, gives me an excuse to work out instead of chip and putt. And so long drive is great. So that was 2016. I started training for that and was 3rd in the world that first year and then won the next year.
Holy smokes. So you started in 2016
Yeah.
and then you
realize
went,
that.
you were second, you said second or third?
3rd, yeah. I mean, semifinal round the first year.
And
so,
then the very next year, 2017, you're a world champ.
yeah.
That's not very common in any other sport. How do you
Well,
explain that?
Lack of talent overall on the no, I don't. I had a head start, dude. Like my dad did
Yeah.
it. I've been training for long drive without training for it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really not. There was not a lack of talent, to be clear. I mean, so I just saw Mitch Grassing today, who took second. Now
Right.
he went OB. Like he had plenty of juice. Like he actually hit it farther, like the round before. And I think he knocked out Kyle that round before because he was like mid upper 220s. Ball speed as well. So, but I've been doing it forever. And then, with coaching from my dad, it's like, hey, this is what you have to do. If you don't do it, you're going to die. If you do, you might win. So I started practicing in his living room because you
really?
can't just hit balls. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that range you can.
Yeah.
So actually guys drive from around the state to practice there, but there's nowhere to practice. People don't understand about long drive. It's something they never think about. You can't practice because ranges aren't designed
For
for
only so long.
350,
Yeah.
400 yard carry.
True.
So a lot of guys have to train indoors exclusively.
Yeah.
So I was hitting in a net in his living room. Like that's where I trained for like the first 4 to 6 months of my long drive career. And then did one event and then took the second event, and that qualified me for Worlds. And then it was, finished third.
Rest is history.
So, I mean, we've talked with a couple other people that have been involved with World Long Drive and competed in World Long Drive, talked about kind of the emotions that you feel on the tee, the adrenaline, all of that stuff. You obviously ascended very quickly in your career. Did playing like pro baseball help with those nerves when you got into those situations?
It was a very
Like, were you
similar
already-
flow. I would come out of the bullpen in pro ball. So, long drive is something people also don't understand. It's, getting ready to actually perform
Yeah.
and then kind of regulating, staying warm, but not, exhausting yourself. Like you got to hit multiple rounds. So it had a very similar feel of like coming out of the pen
Gotcha.
or staying ready, like in between innings. And, that really helped like the first year. I mean, there's like nerves involved, but
Yeah.
like I had done that. I've thrown in front of thousands of people and stuff and blown games already. So, it was like, it was a big deal. Cause I mean, I appreciated, I'm a second generation. Like I was at World Long Drive Championships with my dad, and Zubex won. I've seen my dad compete and win, and so I have an appreciation for it. So it meant a big deal to me in that regard. But I was like to think I was like prepared for it.
Yeah.
So,
Totally.
yeah.
No, my question is obviously, there's a handful of fathers out there hopefully wanting to teach their kids how to up their speed. What were some of the tips that your dad gave you, maybe subconsciously growing up
Yeah,
that
what
you
was
just
that
kind of
head start
applied?
that you had like?
Yeah.
Well, I literally just watched him train for the World Championship, and so I was always around him. So the range that we were at, it was Westminster Golf Center in Southern California, and it had like a fence that would slant like from right to left outwards. So like it straight away, his teaching center was all the way on the right of the range, straight away to the right corner. It was like 280 to 300 yards, and then it would slant left, so he'd go corner to corner, and that carry would be like 370, 340, and he would bomb it into the top of the trees. And then I'd try to just carry it, because you want to be like dad, like
Yeah.
straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So his home run derby was like 350, 370, and my home run derby was like 280. And so eventually I just started hitting over the fence and
Yeah.
and why am I not playing professionally? Well, I hit a lot of drivers growing up, maybe when I should have been chipping and putting.
Gotcha.
But who wants to do that when this freaking, like there was my dad and then some of his buddies who did long drives, guys, are just dropping freaking bombs
Right.
on the end of the range. Like that's a little bit more entertaining than,
For sure.
So
the
was-
circle drill with putting. So I
Yeah.
hit a lot of drivers.
So was that part of the game, like even from the beginning of your golf experience overall, was that always the most attractive? Were you always like drawn to that aspect of the game more than
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like so the first professional event I went to was like a Champions Tour event back then. I don't know what it was called, Senior Tour. And I mean, I was young, so
Yeah.
but I'm like, Daddy, these guys are not very good. And he's like, it's just because you watch me play. So.
I love
But I mean, I was like, they don't hit it that. I mean, I'm used to. You got to understand,
Yeah.
the only thing I'd seen was like 200 to 215 mile an hour ball speed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was like a normal. And so then when I went and saw like professionals, I was like, well, these guys aren't that good. Who's outside? Someone's outside. Sorry, we can cut this.
It might be Dane.
Well, I just didn't want to. If he wants to come in,
Oh, you're
Yeah.
good. You're good.
and I didn't want my truck to get stolen.
Also valid.
Don't see anybody.
Was it?
Somebody just dropped some on the porch and left.
Drop something on the porch.
Pop, pop. Gone.
No, I saw what you saw.
See, I'm not lying, dude.
Oh,
Oh, God. Okay.
that's worse.
Yeah. That's not reassuring
That's
at
way
all.
worse.
Who is that?
It's Dane.
Oh, all right. See, I told you.
You're right.
You guys just made that 10 times scarier.
Yeah, that was. They're like, no, someone was there, and we're like, no. And then I look over here, and there's a body.
Jeez.
Close those blinds, dude. freaking me out.
That was a good eye.
I will cut around that. Thank
yeah.
you. No, you're good. You're good.
What were we talking about?
We were talking about.
We're
going
talking
to-
about like Champions Tour, my first professional
Yep,
event
yep.
that I went to.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't hitting it as far.
Yeah.
You're like, Dad, why do these guys suck? And you're like, well,
They don't play like I do.
yeah.
Yeah, it was just like normal. I mean, and then he would take me to all his. I mean, you know, you go play a skins game with it. I grew up around professionals,
Yeah.
so I'd literally just like play along, and so I had to keep up, right? I didn't play with like. I mean, I played junior tournaments, but like, so I try to hit it as far as them. I'd hit shots that I had no business trying to hit, and then I hit them sometimes. Obviously, like I could hit it like 320 at like 12, you know.
Oh my God.
And I went like to. I mean, I think maybe I'm over, but I don't think I am.
I don't think you are either. I've seen you hit.
And so I was at like, I don't know, I was at the LA Open, and there was this dude, and he's like, how far do you hit it? I'm like, 300. And he was like, this kid's full of, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Anyway,
right.
but I hit it, you know, and then I grew up on a range, and so like, just drop bombs, dude. So, I mean, I would have been like a better player. I mean, don't get me wrong, I didn't like suck. I mean, I was okay. But I would have played at a higher level probably if I played more from this perspective of grew up at, you know, greens 10 on the stemp meter and been playing every day. But I would watch my dad teach. He would hit drivers. I'd hit drivers. I mean, I played plenty of junior tournaments, but just, you know, hitting the driver, like that's in my blood.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird, but it's just what my dad
well,
happened to do
it's-
for a living, you know?
Yeah, it's more fun too. I mean, very rarely do you get pumped over like a close chip shot. I mean, obviously that's great when you're playing, but like if you're driving and bombing it past people off the tee, like you're the man on the course. So I totally get that. Question I had though is when we met you, they always referred to you as the turtle or the snapping turtle. What is the story behind that? Where does that come from? What is that?
So it was about this time in 2017, I think, when Golf Channel owned the whole deal. They brought everybody in for like media training, and it was like they brought us in for, I don't know, a couple of days, and they were getting like, you know, I don't know, media packages and you know, interviews and media training. They told us we were all going to be rich, and so I thought it was great. Now they lied, but so like they were like asking everybody like what animal, what, you know, stupid questions, right? And I'm like, whatever, you freaking guys. So they asked what kind of animal you'd be, and like all these guys are like tough, right? Because they're golfers. So they're like, I'm a sheepdog, and I'm a wolf, and I'm a lion. And I'm like, you guys are dumb. So I just said like a snapping turtle, and then it like, I don't know. It was good.
It has nothing to do with like your swing or anything.
Well,
like
I do
that,
have
or-
to say, you know, I'd play it. I mean, I live at like TPC, so I play the Valley course a lot, and they just happen to have a lot of snapping turtles. And I do think that turtles get a bad rap because they're not actually that slow. They're slow like when they want to be, but when they want to be fast, I mean, they are like quite quick. I think the snapping turtle has like the fast. I mean, they're fast.
Yeah,
Reaction
okay,
time.
yeah.
It's not something you want to mess with. So I'd like to think, you know, in a sense myself, like, you know, I don't like to live life, you know, I'm not a screamer on the tee. I don't need energy, you know, I
100%.
mean, let's just calm down. We're just playing golf. But if the moment presents itself, I like to think I can go fast. So I think the turtles have a certain attitude that's, you know, admirable.
And it's funny that you say that because, again, when we were kind of first introduced to the sport and working with you guys, I think I speak for most of the team. Like, you were one of the more intimidating players because you were so calm and collected on the tee and on the practice range.
Yeah.
Where a lot of the other guys were, you know, screaming and yelling and everything, where you would just walk up often with your drink and then you'd set it down, smash the balls, kill everyone, and then walk off. And we were just like,
It was.
He's
Was Hope
intimidating.
Sound the second event of the year?
yeah.
And you won Hope Sound.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
did.
you won the second event of the year, and like you did insane. It was so humid and stuff, and you were still bombing those balls. I don't know how you did it, but we were like, after you won that one, we were like, okay, We got to get to know this
Yeah,
guy.
we gotta go
we're
talk
going
to
to be
him.
out to be chatting with him quite a bit for the rest of the year. And then we came up to you and chatted with you and we're like, hey, like obviously you guys are, you're competing, you're professional. We don't want to get in the way of anything that you're doing to affect your play or anything like that. But this is who we are. This is what we'd like to do. And you were like, yeah, just like ask me anything. It's whatever. And we
Which-
were like,
Yeah, which was awesome. And since getting to know you a little bit better, like you have one of the most like driest, funniest senses of humor that we've seen. Do you get that a lot with people that don't know you super well, where they kind of come up and they're like, hey, like a little timid around you, or how does that usually happen?
Yeah. I don't, my social skills aren't the best, but I'm just here to take, we're here to hit golf balls.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not here. Is it a good, I don't know. It's a good time, I guess, but it's not really a good time if you get your face kicked in. So
Yeah.
I generally just try to, figure out what I need to do to win and then try not to piss myself when I'm, doing it and, take care of business. So
Totally.
I got a bad rep, I guess, like my first year in the whole deal in 2016. Like Golf Channel wanted to do an interview like before the semifinals. And I just I thought it was what you're supposed to do. I politely declined, said, hey, maybe after.
yeah.
I think I'd seen Rory do that once or something, right? Like, I'll sign your autograph.
Yeah.
And they were just like, don't ever turn down an interview or, in like this meeting the following year.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, listen, nerds, I'm trying to like, not poop my pants on
Yeah.
a national stage. Just cut me some slack. So, then I got the reputation as the black hat and like this, anyway, whatever. I'm not that mean of a guy.
No, not at all.
That's what we're saying.
You have a question,
came
ask.
here.
If not, what do I need to open my mouth? I don't have anything. If you don't, I was told as a child, unless you have something, not even intelligent, just shut up. Just, you're meant to be seen and not heard. So I don't know if that's wise, but that's right.
Well, I mean, I could speak, like, you were definitely heard last season with your performance and with your play. I know we're all looking forward to.
Well, maybe, but I don't.
Hey, you.
Depends who you
I will
ask.
say that. How
just
tall?
kidding. I'm
are
just
you?
kidding.
How tall are you, Justin?
Probably 6 foot. I'd like to think I'm 6'1", but that's probably not realistic.
Okay, so here's one of the reasons
Unless I'm wearing heels.
one of the reasons that I honestly liked you and would root for you to win and stuff.
Because I'm
is
short? Is that what?
You're not short because you're 6 foot.
You're getting at?
Maybe 6'1". We're gonna go 6'1". But some of the other guys are a little taller, right?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
A little taller, right?
There's some
Never really thought about it before now, but thanks
Well,
for pointing
hopefully
that
that
out.
doesn't get in your head for the next season. Don't think about that. But as one of the shorter guys myself, I'm 5'10", not anywhere close to 5'11". I'm just 5'10". You inspire me a little bit,
Wow.
in all honesty. I don't know, because
I'm an inspiration.
Caden hits the ball a little farther than I do consistently. He's also taller than me.
To a
And
short guy.
So in
I'm
my
an inspiration to a short guy?
in my head, I say some of what he has on me is because of his size. But then I watch you go out and I watch you compete against, honestly, some monsters. And
Life
you're a
comes
monster
at
in
you
your own
fast.
right? You're just a little bit shorter monster compared to some of the other guys. And you kick their trash. So that is one reason why I'm a fan of yours. So keep doing what you're doing.
Wow. King of the short guys.
But
You're not short.
the thing is,
Inspiration.
what you apparently lack in height, you make up for in pure power, agility,
Yeah, it's inspiring.
yeah.
That's better.
It really is.
Yeah. Well, no, straight up, like you are definitely one of the more physical specimens out there.
100%.
And anyone that follows you on your socials knows it. They see it. I mean, you're training all the time. How has that kind of off-course gym performance or training?
Fitness and health.
Yeah.
Yeah. Translated.
All right. So a similar thing. I mean, so my dad sounds fake, but he was actually, it's real. It's all real. It's like Han Solo in Star Wars. It's all real. He was Mr. California
Okay.
in 1990. And then my mom, I don't know what she was. Anyway, she was Jack too. So it's just like a Jack family. So my freshman year, I came home. They told me to gain weight. And they're like, look, you need to eat apples and peanut butter. And I came home and my parents were like, look, you're losing yourself. You're getting fat. You need to get it in gear. So and I really wasn't fat at all. I don't know like what their deal was, but so you know that's one influence. Second influence, I went to Nice High School. All right, when Tebow was there,
I was gonna say that's where Tebow
and
played.
he's not a pussy, so he, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, strong guy. The football team is like unreal. So I didn't play football; I played baseball, but like, I mean, these guys were like, I mean, it was dumb. So I'm 33 now. I still don't do some like the clean and I mean, I don't know what was going on there, but anyway. So I mean, when I went to college, I was like the strongest baseball player by far. I'm pretty sure like with the Blue Jays, I was one of the stronger. Now I sucked at baseball, but I was one of the stronger people in the org. And then, so I became friends with like the strength and conditioning coaches because I mean, like, again, I sucked. So it wasn't a big, like, just hang out with those guys. They let me lift because I had no future. The rest of the guys, they wouldn't let work out. So after baseball, I was like, hey, I like these guys. So I got my CSCS certified strength and conditioning specialist. I got connected with, you know, because of my dad's background, Greg Rose at TPI and Dave Phillips. So those guys are like my coaches. I mean, they're freaking the best in the biz. That's what kind of got me started in long drive actually, is I was at a level 2 power. It was taught by Robert Yang, Jason Zubek, and Greg Rose. And they were kind of laying out what you'd see from world long drive champions in terms of power numbers. And I'm like, that's interesting. Let's see if I can get there. And I started to orient my training around that. And then started to hit it farther, and then my dad basically said it's time, and then we just started like
Love it.
training for long drive. So like again, those influences, like my family, and then you know we're into high school, and again, what was normal for me was like a 385-pound clean and jerk, and I'm like, why can't I do that? You know, I mean, 'cause that was just the quality of like. I mean, we were in a meeting one time in Tebow. It was a baseball meeting. Tebow was in on an off day, and he had like 225. And my coach is talking, and Tebow's in the background, repping 225. And I swear to goodness, like 3 minutes later, he's still going. And we're like, what? I mean, he must have been, anyway. And he's like, that mother effer right there, that's how you got to work, blah, blah. And the whole time he's talking, he's still just repping like 220.
Oh my gosh.
I need to get stronger. So that's kind of like what, you know. The
Well,
fitness was.
it's I didn't even know about that connection because I actually just watched the Netflix documentary Swamp Kings about Tebow and the whole Florida Gators kind of timeline, and he was an animal. And so to hear that you guys were, I mean, were you close with him at all, or?
No, he was much better, more talented. He was, you know, let's say above my pay grade. So, and he was I don't know. He actually never, I don't know. He was a senior. He left early. So I was a freshman. He was a junior because he played baseball his junior year, and then he didn't play baseball his senior year.
Gotcha.
So, and then I think he tried to play baseball at Florida, but they were like, "You're not good enough." And then he played with the Mets, so that makes sense. But anyway, I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. And another question I had for you is I'm probably certain that you're fairly up to date. I mean, you're a strength and conditioning coach. Are you watching the trends that are happening in the gym? And if so, are there some that you're kind of seeing from your perspective of like, people should not be doing this, or why is this trending? Why is this a thing?
Like
Or
from
conversely,
golf
what is
or
good?
what?
Just in general, like, because I see on like my feed a lot, just like people that are like doing pull-ups, but they got like a bench wrapped around their waist, and then they've got like all these weird
So that
things.
stuff's funny. I mean, yeah, I'll just say like as it pertains to golf specifically, I think golf's getting a lot better. I think that I was having this conversation today though, like we still haven't realized, and with the whole scope of the rollback and stuff like that, there are still not like, and no offense to anybody, there's not like world-class athletes in golf yet. Like LeBron James hasn't decided to play golf.
Right.
So, you know, people consider me a good athlete in golf, and like I've been around good athletes. So it's like, look, slow your roll, guys. Like I'm sorry, but like this guy's not a linebacker. I mean, like Anthony Richardson, I don't know the guy, but he's like, what, 260? He has a 44-inch vertical and runs a 4.4.
Holy smokes!
Like, I mean, people don't understand like what an athlete actually is, and they see me and they're like, "What an athlete!" I mean, I'm not an athlete. Like, I'm a freaking wuss compared to. So I'm saying, if those guys, if that style of training, and my style of training is not like elite or whatever. If a guy from, 7 started training aggressively,
Right.
okay, and obviously I have some good coach. I do it appropriately. I don't do stupid stuff, okay, but I think that in the future, guys will really produce speed. However, with the rollback and stuff, like, is that necessary? I don't feel that like 190 plus ball speed is even usable on the course. So like what direction that will go, I'm not sure. I know I just opened up like 4 different avenues to talk about.
Totally.
But point one, the golf fitness stuff is getting a lot better in that guys are starting to pay attention more to strength and power development, where years ago it was just primarily mobility and flexibility. However, that wasn't inappropriate because that is where you have to start. It's just they're getting athletes earlier now. So these guys are really good. The TPI, umbrella or coaching tree, whatever, these guys are really good. The best. And like the best coaches in the world are on the advisory board of TPI, Tidex Performance Institute, work with another organization, Golf, Mind, and Body. So that education's getting really good. The second point, like, obviously the guys on tour are athletes, but like, I think that there's some things to learn from like long drive, and they learn from us from power perspectives. You don't have to implement it all, but those guys are starting to train harder and harder. Strength and power is a priority, which is good. And then point 3 was, roll back and usable speed. Just to sum up that real quick, it's just, I've only seen one guy like really effectively use, and I mean, so many people probably think I'm an idiot for saying this, but like use 190 plus ball speed effectively, and that's a guy like Bryson. And what I mean by that is the guys who are faster are generally having to de-optimize, like Cam Champ. And I don't know him, so I don't want to be a criticism, but he hits it low because he likes to see the ball low, obviously, and generally plays with a lot of spin to control his dispersion. That's what you have to do when you're that fast. Somebody like Bryson, people have no concept of how straight, robotic, and consistent he hits the ball. So his strategy was basically, I'm going to take my robotic, repeatable move, add mass and speed on top of it. See, everybody's capable of getting longer. And in that kind of distance phase, when Bryson got longer, people were like, I think Rory even admitted he fell into this trap of trying to get longer. A lot of guys can get longer, but they might do so at the risk of adding dispersion because they increase angles, maybe increase face rotation or different elements, right? There's a reason I'm not playing on tour. I get speed from some unique places. Bryson added speed primarily, well, I shouldn't say that because he changed some things with Como, and Como is a brilliant guy. So, but a big part of it, I'll say, was his physicality, and he kept the parts of his swing that really kept him as consistent as he was, right? So, as far as people panicking with we're going to lose golf because of all the speed, I don't see anybody dominating the game with like 200-mile-an-hour ball speed, like. Kyle, Martin, with respect to those guys, Sedlowski, they would be dominating on the tour, and they're not because you run out of real estate when you're that fast. So anyway, that's a long diatribe, but
that makes total sense. And I mean, I'm kind of curious. Like, we're in a new year, 2024. There's a new World Long Drive season coming up. Last year, you had a great year. You were, if I'm not mistaken, one of only 2 Open Division athletes that won multiple events.
Yeah, I think
right,
it was
just 2.
you and Bryce.
Or Zach did?
No, it's
Wasn't it
for
just you?
plank.
Just you and Bryce, right? Is what I thought. Were the
But
only
that
ones-
he won an event I wasn't there, so I consider that a wash.
So it should have been 3.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. He would have smoked. He was like 227 and hit 6 balls and play in the final. So pretty sure he would have had me there.
So great year in 2023. Like, what are your goals for 2024 for this new season?
I don't really have any.
Okay.
I don't know.
Watch to find out.
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. You just try to hit. So there's some improvements you can make. Like I think there are some events that, I mean, they always get away. You either win or it gets away. I think there's some things you can tweak here or there where you could perform better. But, you know, you can't. I mean, you can control whether you win or lose to the point that all you can do is try to hit it good.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can hit it great the whole year and not win. So,
Totally.
and especially the way the format is with you being on one side of the bracket or whatever. You know, you can't have like win as your goals on it because there's just so many uncontrollables. And I mean, I guess like when you're a certain caliber, maybe you can, but I think just, you know, I know on a personal level, you know, kind of I've been keeping metrics in terms of, you know, I'll just try to get better, you know, and like you can win multiple times in a year and not hit it great. I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
Guys stub their toe around you and all of a sudden, you know, and then you can hit it fantastic and be like, I am freaking jinxed here. So the truth is we don't have very many events like ever. Right, it's not like professional golf. You know, like, hey, why haven't you won in a while? Well, I've only competed like 6 times in 3 years, so you know, get off of me. There's just not a very big sample size, so you know, you take that in consideration. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many events I've competed in my career, but I don't know. My first year was 2016. I can tell you, it's not very many. You know, so I don't know what a win percentage or whatever is, but there was a streak where I hadn't won in a while. But I mean, I didn't compete that. Like I could only hit in 3 events in 2022, I think. And you know, anyway, it's just you got to keep things in perspective from the standpoint. You got to keep your own stats, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
because if you like try to go off wins, like you're going to be a miserable person.
Yeah, that's maybe not.
Or
the
you're going to
metric in the
suck
sport.
and you're going to feel good because the other guy sucked worse. So, you know.
Well, let's wrap it up then with taking it off the course. What are your personal goals for 2024? Anything that
What's
you're...
life like off the grid for Justin James these days?
Oh, man. Well, I have a wife and 3 kids. So what's life like? I mean... I tried to, you know, before we left, like my 3-year-old, like didn't want to go to school. So she just like fell on the ground.
They do that.
So she just told me she's not going to school. And I mean, what do you do? So
You put a driver in her hand,
I
right?
didn't, yeah, I mean, she has shown some athletic ability.
There we go.
She's got very high arches, wide feet. I'm excited about that.
Good. Yes. Yes.
Does some things at times that are, you know, just kind of a twirl where you're like, there's some potential.
Yeah. Light on her feet.
But, you know, she's just, I didn't grow up with girls. I have no sisters. I mean, no one will ever accuse my father of being feminine. So, I mean, you know, my mother's a bit of a, well, I'm not. She takes no shit. I'm just telling. Like,
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, I didn't grow up with sisters.
Yes.
So what do you do to a 3-year-old who won't go to school? So I tried gentle parenting. You know, we tried to talk about it, and that didn't work. I tried to yell at her. Like, I mean, you know, when I yell at my son, he's 4. You know, there's a sense that, like, I mean, that's the impending doom. He'll usually respond.
Yeah.
But she just like laughs. And I don't know if that's because she thinks I'm a joke or if she just doesn't understand the range of emotions yet. So, you know, I just had to carry her and throw her in the car gently.
Yes.
The gentle parenting coming into effect right
But,
there.
you know, like I was gone yesterday. My wife, she grows vegetables because, you know, she's great. And so she took a cabbage to the neighbor. It was a fun activity. Neighbor wasn't home. So then the kids are pissed that the neighbor's not home. And they don't understand that they can't give Shvita a cabbage, you know. And
Right.
so Quinn, she's just screaming in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
You know, cars be damned, blocking traffic. And LT, he's turning purple because Shvita's not home.
Right.
That's it, man. So it's trying to navigate some of that. So excuse me if I don't really care about my long drive goals for the 2024 season, you know, because I've got to figure out how to get Shvita that cabbage.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
There's
say.
Some pressing matters
2024
involved.
top goal. Get
we're all in
Shvita
trouble.
the cabbage. Well, we'll have to check in with you December 2024 and see how many cabbages, if any,
See if
Shvita
we're able to fulfill
received.
the.
If you guys want one, she did grow quite a few. So
Oh,
give you
yeah.
some. They're impressive cabbages.
That sounds great.
The lettuce was
home
not. The
when you
lettuce
bring
went bitter, but the cabbages are good. So that's pretty much the off the grid type of
I love it.
situation. Yeah, and then I have a pit bull, and he's a handful. So
Right on.
different story. It's very Campbell's going to take him. So
Okay.
you know, in a good way, but you know, it's just not a good idea generally to have a pit bull with 3 small children. I didn't know if you guys heard that. So he's gone.
Okay.
But yeah, for the record. So no pressure, but get the visa situation settled and sorted. We're actually going to work on that tomorrow a little bit.
Lovely.
So there's got to be somebody at the PGA show that can get him in the country. So, but it nonetheless is true. They'd give him a ticket too, wherever he wanted to go.
Wow.
Jeez.
Well, it sounds like you got your hands full this coming year. So,
I do, yeah.
Good stuff, though. All good stuff.
anyways, well, we
It is.
appreciate you coming out on the podcast and getting to chat with you for a bit. But yeah, we'll be keeping tabs on Justin James for 2024, and we'll have to catch up at the end of the year.
Sounds good.
Sweet.